How many of y'all know what you want your life to look like when you're 75 years old?
I mean, I kind of know like where you want to be at, but you know what I'm saying.
Like if you close your eyes right now, could you visualize and just explain to somebody what you just picture or want it to look like?
What was the question? 75?
Yeah, when you're 75 years old, what you want your life to look like?
I can tell you 5.
No, 75. And when it's all over and done with. Now, you see that, right? That's a hard question for y'all, right? Now, let me ask y'all on the inside. How many of y'all know what you want your life to look like at 75? You daydream about it just about every day, right? Right? Do you see the difference? That's what makes the difference. You gotta have a vision so bright in your head that you're telling yourself, I'm not gonna risk 75, what I want my 75 to look like for something quick right here, right now. That's why we keep sending ourselves back to jail. That's why we keep making these mistakes, because we don't have anything that we are seriously looking forward to. We looking forward to the club this weekend. We looking forward to whoever we trying to get at. We looking forward to whatever next thing we trying to buy, but we don't know what we want our end picture to look like. If they know what their end picture looks like, it's going to be real hard to take them completely off course. I went to jail at least 65, 75 times, right? But to me, I didn't think I was going to live to see past 25 years old because most of my buddies didn't, right? So how can you threaten me with something I don't even really think I got? You get what I'm saying? And then once I read that book and I saw another man, guess what my first book was, y'all? Memoirs of a Father, President Obama. I'm originally from Chicago. Y'all know President Obama out of Chicago. So, Southside. My family's from Cabrini Green over in that area. So you get what I'm saying? Like, that's where I come from, right? So, now he wasn't even president yet. This is 2007. But when I saw that somebody from somewhere I knew had done this much, and not saying he's from Chicago, but he's still out of Chicago, right? When I saw that it's a big picture that I can have more out of life, I was like, oh man, ain't no way in hell I'm finna throw this away. But it was the first time I ever dreamed. It was the first time I ever took a sheet of paper and a notebook and I wrote down what I wanted my life to look like. When I first started praying in jail, I used to pray to God, let me get a bond, let me this, let me get that, right? By the time I started my big picture thinking, I used to pray, God, don't let me get out of jail till I finish this picture. Don't let me get out of jail till I remember what it is I want. Because I knew me. I was just as addicted to selling drugs as the people were to using them, right? Like I learned how to sell anything in the world. So I decided to open up businesses where I would talk to people and sell stuff because that was a skill that I acquired. So I drew from my past, but I didn't stay in my past. So what's the next one? Okay.
Understanding.
Okay, the reason why we have to understand this moment is because you have an amazing opportunity. And if you let this opportunity slip by, you may not be able to get it back again. So you have to own this moment, you have to assess this moment, and you have to make it a priority. The only things that you will ever accomplish are the priorities you set and the things that you tell yourself that no is not an option to. If you make no an option, you'll always say no because it'll get easier. So when it becomes too hard, when it becomes too stressful, when you don't know what to do, you're going to revert back to the no because you gave yourself that option of a no. So you have to look at this moment and you have to say, I've done too much to make it here. I refuse to go back. I remember sitting in jails at 4 in the morning while everybody else was asleep and writing in a notepad what I would do once I got a chance to live again. Once I finally got my freedom back, what I would do with it. I saved all of those notebooks. And when I got out of jail, every time I wanted to give up or I wanted to do something stupid, I went back and I read how important it was for me to just have this moment again. Because when you get in that moment, you cannot let anything rob you of your moment. Like how many of y'all look at this opportunity you have right now and you feel sorry for people in your neighborhoods or people who still are where you were because they're not here? So what kind of justice would you be doing to them if you let this moment slip by you? How many people have children in this room? If you don't change your life in this moment, what do you think your child's life is going to be like? How many people have friends who died along the way? If you don't take advantage of this moment, that means their life didn't mean anything because you let them be a part of your life and everything they taught you, you just let it go by. When I wrote my first book, I dedicated each chapter of my book to one of my friends who I watched die in the hospital. because it reminded me how important it was to write the next chapter and to not stop and to not give up, because I had to make their memories and their moments and the struggles they went through, I had to make it them. Convicted felon at the age of 16 years old. How many of y'all are 16 or older in here now? When I became a convicted felon, my whole entire life changed. I mean, my entire life changed. Once you become a convicted felon, it's so many things you can't do. It's so many. How many people in your family are convicted felons? How many people have a brother or a father or a cousin? And how difficult do you see life for them? Seriously. How many of them have a stable job? The people who you're thinking about right now, how many of them have a job where they've held that job for over a year? How hard was it for them to find that job? Did y'all watch their struggle?
Yeah.
What'd you say, sir? He struggled to do it? That's all I've known my entire life. From the age of 16, you're still a child, right?
Yes.
So I became an adult as a convicted felon. When you're a convicted felon, not only is it hard to find jobs, it's certain communities you can't move to. I have a degree in psychology and in accounting. I'd never be able to work in either of those fields. I went to school and paid to get a degree just because I wanted to better myself, knowing that I can never get licensed nor have a job in either field, because once you become a convicted felon, you can't get a professional license. That sounds crazy, right? Now how about this? I had to buy my house and put it in somebody else's name, because for years the police used to kick in my door just to check and see what I was doing. I was at home sleep once, and I wake up to people in my bedroom, and I got an attitude with them, so they locked me up. I didn't break a law, I didn't commit a crime, a new crime, but because I'm a convicted felon, they can come in my house at any time. So I put my house, my cars, everything in other people's name because I'm scared to stay in a house that's in my own name. Can you imagine living your life like that? And that's from mistakes that I made when I was 16 years old. So we're saying living to your full potential. And that's an opportunity to develop into something in the future. Then living to your full potential will be developing into every single thing you can possibly be, right? So that means we gotta live every single second of our life with the intention to develop into everything we possibly can become. So that means whatever your biggest dream is, whatever you think you may possibly have the potential to be, you gotta live every single second intentionally to become that. And that should be our definition for living to your full potential. One time, even after they robbed me and they got the money, they tortured me for like 8 hours, right? They left me in a pool of blood laying in my house, and they thought I died because I blacked out, right? Once you lose so much blood, you start, like, your pulse and all that gets so weak, they just assumed I died, but I thought I was dying too. So I remember laying here in this pool of blood, right? And they got me tied up by my feet. They got me tied up by my hands. And the crazy thing, they tied me up by my house with my house phone cord. I've never had a house phone in my house again because there's certain stuff that you just don't let go of. You know how upset it makes you when somebody come in your house and they tie you up with something of yours?
Yeah.
Right? So after that day, I've never had another house phone. Right? Yeah, just cell phone. No, I'm serious. I've never had another house phone in my house. Nothing with a house phone cord. None of that. I threw away every house phone cord. I'm not going back to that, right? But point, I'm laying in my floor, laying in a pool of blood, and it clicked to me that if I died right then that day, all people could say about me is that I slept with a lot of women, I had a lot of cars, and he stayed fresh. That's all I did with my whole life. That's all I had accomplished. And I'm sitting here laying here thinking I'm gonna die. And all I can say I ever accomplished in my life was them three things.
I got one more question. When you were laying there in your pool of blood, did you think about it?
That's what I'm telling you. Like, it really clicked to me right then. And I said to myself, if I live, I got to do something more with my life. I got to. So I was taking somebody to go pick up something and I wasn't even care for it. And it ended up almost throwing my whole life away. Now, I'm going to be honest. This is going to go against what they said. The way I look at life is, if you do something with somebody, you need to take the repercussion for everything that happens after you do that. So I get in a car with him, and he chooses to go rob something, then even if I didn't know he was robbing it, I'm just as responsible as him because I got in the car with him, right? So that means if we get arrested, I will take that charge, even if I didn't do it, because I shouldn't have been associated with it, right? That's a hard decision to be able to make. That I might throw away my whole life for his actions, right? So you know what that means? If I know that he's a robber and I know that he's doing stuff that I don't want to throw my life away for, When he pull up and he like, hey, you wanna go to the club, you wanna ride here, you wanna ride there? I be like, no, I'm good. Because I know my mentality. If I get in the car with somebody and they do something, that's gonna become my responsibility now because I chose to associate myself with them. Right? Because most of y'all look at it like I'm not gonna snitch on my homeboys, right? So just don't bring me around you when you do certain stuff. Point blank period. Does that make any sense? Because how many of y'all want to go to jail for the rest of your life when somebody else jumped out of the car?